calling to order the CAC meeting for October 30th, 2019. My name is Elizabeth Rosberg, and I will be chairing part of this. So we have a couple more people that are coming in, but in the meantime, James Kitchen is here from Community Engagement and
yeah, I use the acronyms.
Make
it up.
Community Services.
Now, Community Engagement and Constituent Services.
Constituent Services, sorry.
Yeah.
And he is going to talk with us. We've had a lot of back and forth about this community association list, and they are trying to clean it up. So he is going to explain what was said in an email, and if you all have any questions, then he'll be able to answer them. But we really need to get this community association list updated. And we, as community representatives, have the ability to help facilitate that and make sure that they fill out the forms and make sure that it gets better. Because this is what the developers use to notify people. That is, and you have to be on that list. As a community association, I can say for Art Preservation Council, because I'm council, it creates some challenge, shall I say. So James is going to, go ahead, ask a question.
What are you all doing to send out that notice to update the community list? I've sent out 4 times, but I only have a reach across certain communities that belong in my organization.
Well, first it went to all of you.
No,
So, I mean, it went to the entire CAC, and then James can address how else they're sending it out.
Right.
James.
Okay. James Kitchen. Nice to know a lot of you, not all of you. It's nice to see you all. Thank you for being here and for the good work that you all do. We're really excited to see what the final product ends up looking like. As I'm sure you are too. But thank you for being here.
Get back to you in a couple of years.
Right. So the community association list, by law, has to be held within the county executive's office, and it's used for a couple things. One, we statutorily have to send out periodically. It's called our legal mailing, but we send out to every community on that list a PDF that has all of the upcoming administrative hearing and Board of Appeal hearings, like for the next 3 to 4 weeks, and we send it out so people can see those. Those are all already publicly available on the website, but we have this legal mailing that gets sent out, and we have to do that again in accordance with county code. We have to send that out. So that's one of the things that list is used for. The other thing it's used for is, the developers. It's changed with recent bills on what you have to send community notifications for. But when there's a pre-submittal community meeting or a post-submittal community meeting or a modification that was not gone over in a community meeting, in the most recent bill I think added it for sketch plan approval. When a sketch plan gets approved, that community notification has to be sent out by the developer. And so right now it goes out to all homeowners within 300 feet of the project. 300 feet is not that long, it's not that big. And any community association on our list that represents a homeowner that lives within 300 feet. And so that's the second thing that list is used for. So when we came into office, there were about 580, I want to say, community associations, HOAs, things on this list that we had, and it wasn't super well organized, but there were a decent amount there, right? And we were sending these legal mailings out, and pretty early on we were like, we're putting 600 things in the mail a couple times a month. That took a lot of paper, a lot of postage, a lot of staff time, like putting together all of those things. And we said, can we meet legal requirements, and potentially do this better and do it out via email, right? So you can also ask to get on the legal mailing list. You don't have to be a community association. If an individual asks to get on it, we just put them on that as well. And we were told yes, and then we were given the direction by the administration to move to doing that electronically. So then we spent a couple months saying, okay, we're going to email out everybody on that list and say, hey, we're moving to electronically. Look out for that, right? And so one of the things, even when we were doing snail mail, these would bounce back. Like a handful of them would get returned to center, and we'd get them in the Calvert Center. They'd come to my mailbox and it'd be like, what is this? Oh, it's the most recent edition of the legal mailing we sent out, and they had gotten returned to us because people weren't at those addresses anymore. And that happened with emails too. So we sent out emails to everybody, and like 40% of them or so bounced back as being invalid or suspended or whatever, right? And so we talked with the Office of Law, and we said, hey, what's our, how do we deal with this? We've been told to move to an online format. It's 2019. You can remove them from the list if they haven't responded. And so our office sent out a handful of emails over the course of a few months to the email addresses we had, asking people to re-sign up, update their email information, anything. And after a few months, and we actually had our coordinator at the time, office coordinator at that time, went through the phone numbers that were there and were cold calling and leaving messages and trying to get people, and a lot of the numbers didn't work, or they didn't pick up, or we left messages and they never responded. So the list went from about 580 to now it's about 220. I think is what it's at. In my mind, it's better to have a list that we know is good information, where everyone on it has signed up for it, like within the past 10 months, and we know that we can contact them, than have a massive list where 60% of people you can't contact. However, we have not stopped trying to build that list out. And so one of the things I've had an intern doing over the past few months is they're going through it, and every comes in 3 times a day, and every day I'm like, hey, I want you to try and find 15, 20 of these, and he'll get online and try to research like the name of the community association and find a contact. Some of them you just can't find. They don't have an online process present. Some of them we do. When we find them, we email what stuff we have, and we say, hey, we want you back on this list, and we add them. They trickle in. I said 220. That stuff I think a month ago was at like 180, and so we're trying to rebuild it out. That is where that is now. The other thing I'll say is a much bigger list, which we don't have to legally keep or do, but gets the same information out, is in July. I think July 1 was the first time we actually sent these out. But my office sends out a weekly e-blast every Monday. Sometimes they come on Tuesday, Monday's a holiday or whatever, but they try to get out every Monday. And we do them by district, so we have a list for each council district. And in that email, we put every community meeting that's come up. Like every community meeting that has been scheduled, we put that in that email list. And it goes to anyone who wants to be on that list, whether you're within 300 feet or your community association or anything or not, right? And so we've tried really hard to get that information out there, and people have responded pretty positively to that medium. We also link to our legal mailings. It's a PDF. I upload it as a PDF, and I put it in every single version of that e-blast list. And so whether you're on the community association list or not, if you get on that e-blast list, people can get all of the same information that you get for being on that list. That's not to say we're still trying to build that list out. But that is one of the things we've done. And I don't, to your question, we've sent, again, multiple emails to the whole, to the whole list of what we've had. I should have a link, just like in the template of that e-blast, just like, hey, make sure your community associate's on this list. And I can do that. And so that's something I could have just always on the bottom, right? We have links to the county executive social media presence, to our website, to the 311 thing, and I can easily put a link in there to this community list.
It's not the ones that we are responsible for. It's the ones that are out there that we don't even
that we don't know about, right? And so what I can say there is we have an intern, and one of the jobs we've given him is every time he comes in, trying to do some of that research. That's one guy. When he goes, I'll probably assign that to our office coordinator to keep that work up. But that's something that we're doing pretty consistently. And so it's gotten bigger. Again, it's less than half of what it was, but all the information we have is good, where the old list was a lot bigger, and it looks bad for it to be smaller on one hand, but on the other hand, the list was big, but half the people you sent email messages to or things in the mail.
So you're telling me that from my time in constituent services, I know that there are over 800 community associations in this county.
Yeah.
Speak up, please.
And there are over 800 community associations in this county, and you're now telling us that you're now saying that it's down to less than 200 that you have.
No, I'm talking about 220 that have officially re-signed up within the past 10 months.
What happened to the ones that were all out there? You're saying that you've got a handful that came back.
I'm telling you that when we came in, when this administration came in, and the list was, I've not seen a list that had 800 people in it. But the list that we found.
We had that when I was in Warren Newman's administration.
Yes.
Over 800. And I have another question.
Okay.
I thought that by law, by county code, these had to be mailed out snail mail.
We asked for a legal.
The legal mailings.
Right.
far as, I thought they were in the code that they have to be snail mailed out.
The administration asked for an opinion on that, and we were told that sending them out electronically met that. The legal, my reading of the code for the developer notification says first class certified mail. The language must be different for this. We asked for an opinion on that. The law office said that this is not required.
So, James, is it possible for us who have community association members do they have to fill out their own form? Or, I mean, essentially they do, because we're not gonna share their information without their permission.
Right, so it's a public list, so any information on it could be FOIA, like Freedom of Information Act, and you have to give it out to whoever asks. And so, we've had some, like, have responded to emails where they've not filled out the form to say, yes, please put it on the list, here's all of our contact information. And if I have that in writing, I'm comfortable having somebody like fill it in for them. I wouldn't be comfortable just sitting down and filling in.
Well, and that was one of the questions I think somebody had asked for a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet with email addresses and stuff on it, and you have that, but that's not public information. And it shouldn't be, because this list is published on the county's website.
Yeah, so I've asked Office of Law if I'm allowed to share it. There's a disclaimer on it. It says, by signing on this list, you're going to get periodic communications from the county about, news that affects your community. And it does say, like, this is a public list. It could be given out, in a FOIA request.
Right.
And so I've asked law, like, hey, am I allowed to share the email addresses of that with this group? I don't personally have a problem with it. I just want to, like, make sure that I'm not breaking any privacy laws if I were to share all those email addresses with you. My sense is that it will come back and they'll tell me that's fine. If they tell me no, then I'm not going to give it to you. If they say it's fine, I absolutely will.
So are you kind of asking this group to help you fill out that? Like reach out to the folks that we know and
right. So that would be great, right? It's our job to do that.
Right.
We are willing to take any help that you could give. If you all, like, your local knowledge is indispensable, and if you do know, like, presidents of community associations that are not on such lists, and you can pass, like, the link on, like, that would be great. We're not going to stop trying to find them ourselves as well and get them to re-sign up. And the information changes all the time. Like, I've had stuff going on down in Beverly Beach where I used that list to email out to, it wasn't just a Beverly Beach one, but it was a May of 2014 meeting I put together, and we used that list to email out to all of them, and they had an election within the past couple months and had not refilled out the form. And I had one person call me up and be like, hey, James, why didn't I know about this meeting until the day before? And I was like, no, we used everything on the list. And they're like, oh, we didn't update it, right? This changes a ton. And so, again, in my mind, like, I could recreate a static list that's a whole lot bigger than the 220 I'm telling you I have right now. And that's not as valuable to me as updated information where we send them out, people are getting it and responding, and it's constantly changing. We're trying to keep it updated, and that's where it's at. But yeah, we would love any help you can give. When we went to the budget town halls last spring, we had things we were passing out, asking people to sign up. We tried to get some that way. But yeah, anything you do that to help would be awesome. And again, if there's anything we can do to help you all get information out, we would love to cooperate with you and that as well.
So James, are you looking only for formal HOAs, or are you looking for informal community associations that may not have any legal standing but are the informal network within communities?
So this list is for formal HOAs, community associations, because that's what we, like, legally, again, I don't mind sending information to any of these groups, right? And if you get on our mailing list for just like the district e-blast, you can get all of the same information. I don't want to put a whole bunch of people on this list and tell our developer, you by law have to send things to community associations and have it not be a formal group, if that makes sense.
Improvement associations also.
Yeah.
I'm really amazed that so many have been dropped off of the county's list.
Okay.
I mean, my own community association has been around for 50 years, and it's no longer on there.
I looked in here to
But I
fill out
don't
the form.
I did.
All right, well then,
I'm gonna wait to see if it actually comes.
all right.
Well, it doesn't get
I've been
updated.
updating it about once a month. I'm having it on my list of things to do by Friday, so.
It's
And there are
not,
there are lots of others in Silver Park that have just been gone.
but also so that you know, it's not automatic. Once you fill out the form, it's not as though you're gonna be automatically listed. It has to be verified, and then it has to go to the webmaster, and then it has to go up there. And
I have to
and
re-download, re-sort. I have them sorted by council district alphabetically within council district. So you would go to, some zip codes cross council districts, right? Like 21114 is in two different ones. But the way I've organized it is within each council district, I have them alphabetically by then. If your group decided it would be easier to have it by zip code or
That needs more work.
anything like that, then I can do that to you.
James,
Annapolis is different.
I just want to clarify, the reason people have fallen off the list is because either their email address or their mailing address has gone bad and you can't reach them. You're not throwing people off this list.
No, not at all.
And you're just trying to rebuild the list.
Correct.
And that happens because HOAs, they have changes in leadership, because I can attest, you've been president for a year, you're probably running. And most of them are using their own personal email address, et cetera, and most of them don't have PO boxes either. So it's kind of a natural thing that you have to keep maintaining the list. So,
It's a
I
moving
mean,
target, that's for sure.
It happens every year.
yeah, I mean, it's a constant issue.
Right. I don't know what the name of the restriction had. I know it was left to us when we came in last December. That list was under 600 and
We
most
spent a
of
lot of
them.
time, also working on it, but
Yeah.
we never had just suddenly a mass drop of all these community associations and HOAs, which is what you have, and I don't understand that.
That is exactly what it had. That is accurate. Yes, ma'am.
You're never gonna solve the problem of the change in leadership.
Nope.
Where people are smart enough to say, gee, I gotta update this. But why are you taking off the name of the community association when that's probably still there, the HOA, and it's just a matter of getting the personnel names that are, new?
I can look into that.
Just leave the association.
No, I can
leave them
totally
all
look into
there,
that.
and then-
Yeah, and then developers, just like if there's no mailing address that we have that's good or emailing address, then, you know, we could leave it listed there and people could go to search for them somewhere in cyberspace, but I can totally look at recreating like that. For functionality for ours, it wasn't, the point of this list was not to create one spot where every HOA or community list that exists is just like listed on a piece of paper. It is to have ways to contact them for these two legal purposes.
But it gives us
Right.
a name.
Right, and I can,
I
yeah,
can go after Raintree if they're still on the list and say, gee, I knew their past president, I can call and find out who's the new president, if it's not up there.
right. I can look into a way to either create, publish ones side by side where that's like that, or I can absolutely look into that. Yes, yes, sir.
I was a little late getting here, I apologize, you may have already mentioned this. Did you look into the SCDP community of?
I have sent an email to the budget office asking if they can generate a list of the SCBDs with their current contact information, because you're right, that the SCBDs have to every January submit budgets, right, they have to do audits, so we have to have communication from them. The person who coordinated those left over the summer, and so there's been no person coordinating SCBDs, for the past 3 or 4 months.
Just a few days ago.
What's up?
Yeah, there's somebody there.
No, there's a handful of us that are trying to like pick up that work, but the budget office had one person that was assigned as the SCBD coordinator, and there's not one. It's the admin assistant in the budget office is doing the best job she can, and other people are in there, and I'm in there helping triage some of it. We just hired, I told her she was gonna start today, the person who is gonna retake that over, but I have reached out to the admin of the budget office and asked if there's a way to generate that report and if I can get it. I have not got it.
Three separate offices, and any one of the 3 separate offices, you probably get it. So the budget group, the finance group, and whoever, that's it.
The budget one is the one that has all the information, yeah.
Any other quick questions?
But no, it was a great suggestion, and I've
Yep.
sent out information requesting.
Okay, thank you, James, appreciate it. online, so you guys know how to get in touch with them. Okay, everybody should have a multicolored piece that says 2040 goals, policies, strategies, environmental protection, resource conservation, and water quality, draft 10/24/19. On the first page should be red, blue, purple, okay? We have, because we're replacing a previous one. Everybody's got that. Okay, so here we go.
20 minutes ago.
So these are what has been suggested through the My Drive with comments between what we did last week and what we are doing now. And we gotta finish this tonight, okay? So, you see, and you haven't had a lot of time to do this, so you gotta speed read. The goals, I'm not sure, I don't have old and new, sorry, but, that is the current, let me just go down a little bit, the current A goal. And then underneath that are 4 policies.
There's actually only 3, there are only 3.
Okay,
Patrick, can you show me so, actually I wanna go back up to the top and sort of address, what was entered above that. Just to reiterate from last week, these are only the goals, policies, and strategies for this section. This isn't the environmental section. There's a whole summary that will be written, and coordinated with this section that will, discuss the issues. It'll relate to the vision and vision theme, and as well as the state visions, the appropriate state visions. So there's a whole lot of text that'll get written prior to this. So while I realize it might not make sense out of that context, these are just the goals, policies, and strategies. We have already kind of been over all the issues from previous meetings that we've had related to these subjects.
So are you saying these first 2 comments here are probably not needed?
No,
in this?
because we would,
There would be
they
one
would be
summary I had
replaced
on.
by, yes. And then, the third statement regarding, strategies aligning with policies, the strategies that are aligning with policies are immediately under it. But there's not a one-to-one relationship. Sometimes it's one-to-many. So each policy is not going to have one strategy and then another policy with another strategy. There'll be a set of policies with a set of strategies. Sometimes only one strategy, and there might not be policies. I mean, as we move forward, there could be goals and strategies.
So I was the one that made a lot of these suggestions, because I had a lot of trouble following what was going with what, because it didn't conform to the kind of outline structure that I'm used to. So, I understand that there will be more context ahead of time. So the first one was to put some context. And then the second one was to encourage the system to be consistent. And I've tried to make it consistent to what makes sense to me. So, it seemed to me that things were out of line and out of numbers.
Well, the formatting of this is gonna be a little bit difficult because we initially created this in Word document and then uploaded it to the Google Drive to share out, and the formatting will change. And while we try to reformat it as you make comments, it changes that. So, I mean, I don't know how to get around, other than using the numbers and letters that, the previous version we gave you had, really no outline to it. So this time, goals are in the capital letters, policies are in the small letters, and strategies are in the small Roman numerals.
And the reason where I put a D, follow the lettering of the policies downward, is that with all that happening, the policies, it went from A, B, C to, the next one was, F. And so that had to be labeled D, and the next one D, so there was still, I tried to make it consistent, and I guess it's something also trying to make it consistent, but it was hard to follow. No, see, the goals all have their own numbers, and then the policies have letters, and the strategies have units.
Don't the policies start over again with A if it's under a different role?
Yes,
No, it doesn't.
well,
It doesn't, through the document.
Welcome to the meeting.
I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm saying it should.
I would think so too, but they didn't do it that way, so I kept it the way you did
I
it.
mean, yeah, this, because it's been changed so many times, I can't really see what was
But I think you're all saying
originally
the same
done.
thing.
Yeah.
You're saying it should start over, you're saying it did, and maybe it was
It did,
reformatted
and I
as a
don't know,
result
yeah,
of
it's either
it. So we can fix
formatting
that.
or when people go in and add something, it could automatically kick it
renumber
to
or
it,
something.
yes, and so that's
Okay,
where.
so that's formatting, and that's helpful, we can certainly
Yeah, in the
fix.
end, it'll be
those
formatted
things.
right, and certainly the final
Yeah.
document.
Yeah,
So-
and as we're gonna be going through this with all of the policies and recommendations and such, let me point out one thing that might help us in terms of making these kinds of comments, because as opposed to adding text into the document that then is read as text, if it's simply a comment, if you click on this up at the very top, there's an icon that looks like a little text box with a plus. That's a comment box that will allow you to add a comment that's outside of the actual text that you can reference. I think that may take care of a lot of some of these problems.
Some of it,
Some of this.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah, 'cause
some
we're
of you are
constantly
working
editing
at the
other
same
stuff
time,
that's-
yeah.
And I will say,
Yeah,
and
I
we're,
was noticing that while I was in it, someone else was editing it, so it's,
So I'm making an assumption that we're really focused on the content.
yes.
And once we have agreed on what that content is, you'll go back and reformat it to be consistent, so that the intent is that, as Melanie says, under each goal, there'll be a new set of numbering that relates to that goal. Is that right? And then we don't have to worry about it when we're making comments or edits.
You'll make it pretty for us.
Good, I like that.
I just did it because I was having trouble figuring out what was a goal and what was a strategy and what was a policy.
Okay, so let's look at policies. Any comments?
So it looks like, goal A, policy C has, and it's hard to, unless you, scroll over past, yeah, you've got,
this one,
so at one point I'd seen this was deleted,
Delete on the other
but
side.
was it then moved?
Right, there was E on the other side, and then I moved it. Yeah, that was just me reformatting. It was way down below, and then I made a comment. But now I know where the comment button is.
That'll make the next round a lot easier to read, because I have a lot of stuff stuck where it doesn't belong to.
we're learning
But
this
the
too,
comment
it's
is
not.
valid. What about that?
It's just how to place the comment. You did,
No, but I'm saying,
Okay, forget that, yeah, exactly.
what's the answer to the comment, right?
On, you're talking about C,
we're talking about C.
yeah, and I'm the one who raised part of that. It just felt like it was too amorphous for what we're trying to do here. And so I don't know what the language ought to be, but high quality or rare felt like it really didn't capture.
About our experts.
Well,
again, the identification of these specific features, Jabez Ranch, Manatee Bog Complex, the reason they stand out is again because of their particularly high quality natural resources, and to a certain extent the rarity or the uniqueness was the word that was used originally, I think. So the question becomes, does there want to be, should we be having more expansive protections, or are we really just trying to key in enhanced inspection or enhanced protection for these higher quality features?
Just to help me understand, when you use the term high quality, what does that mean?
That means, by and large, in these cases, it means they're dependent upon high quality water coming into the systems. They've got, in the case of the bog complexes, they've got rare, threatened, endangered plant species, and actually same with Jabez Ranch, which is the only brook trout supporting stream in the coastal plain. And so it has to do with both the quality of the water in the systems as well as the plant and animal communities that inhabit it.
Is high quality a defined term, or it's kind of used, us for use?
It's up to the user, and it's sort of relative to the resources that are present in the county. I mean, they're recognized. The bog complex is given additional protection in the code. Jabez Branch is given additional protection by the Maryland State Department of Natural Resources. So there are additional state and county protections for some of these features.
Can I ask a question also about, I don't know if this is the proper place to bring this up, but what about?
I'm having trouble hearing you, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering about habitat protected areas, which were also, I think back in the late 80s, the county was supposed to identify habitat protected areas. Is that the area where this kind of thing should be also? That we should be identifying those, because we never did really, I don't believe.
If there were a desire to have enhanced protections for habitat protected areas, I think that would be the strategies of this section. So that's something that the county should be tasked with identifying and providing additional protections for. I think that's the right place to put it.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was something that the state
As a
had.
strategy, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as I understand, that was something that the state had passed along to the counties back in the late 80s.
They essentially enabled the opportunity for the counties to have that kind of protection along with the critical area. And some jurisdictions, I think Charles County, for instance, took some protections, but like you say, Anne Arundel County did not provide additional protections.
So could someone draft that?
Yeah, because we do have one, at least, I know we have at least one, Cattail Creek area in Seminole Park.
Draft it to put it in here that.
It would be added under strategies. Habitat protected areas to identify and protect.
So that would be a D?
No, it's not a policy strategy.
Under the strategies, yeah. Okay, I'll.
So can I circle back to this language on C, because I don't think we've resolved that. Are we really talking about environmentally sensitive areas? Is that part of the?
Yes.
Could we say something like
Sure.
that?
Sure.
So, high quality / rare, environmentally sensitive areas?
Or, I don't have a
Yeah,
problem
why
with
not?
ecosystems, but
Why not just substitute unique and rare ecosystems instead of high quality, which seems to be everything's high quality? Or low quality, it needs to be high quality. But, you know, since there's, how do you define, I guess you could raise the question, how do you define unique and rare, but it seems to me easier to define unique and rare than high quality. So I would suggest that you protect those systems, that are mentioned, and other unique and rare, ecosystems.
and I'd love the
Environmentally
element,
sensitive areas.
right.
So protected, the branch, the complex, and other environmentally sensitive areas.
So change unique and rare ecosystems to environmentally sensitive areas.
Or you could leave them both, but it does.
Identify and protect.
What about the question, is there a plan for identifying others?
Identify and protect.
Right.
So to the question about, is there a plan to identify other high quality? I don't believe there is a plan, but there is a process for identifying them. So it's, in terms of the ball complexes, they actually have to meet certain criteria and then be adopted by county code into the protection map. So there's a process, but there's not our explicit effort to identify those.
So if we change that,
You know, because we're mixing two different things. First it was protect, and that was a policy, and then we skipped to an identify and protect other habitat areas, and then, so identify and protect is not a policy. So let's, so we want to protect.
Okay.
So identification would become one of the strategies. Because you can't protect it
For
if you haven't
other,
identified it.
for other unique.
environmental sensitive
Environmental
areas.
sensitive areas.
So are we adding,
You're saying protect the Jasmine Branch, Magothy Bog Complex, and other environmentally sensitive areas under policy C.
yep,
And then under strategies, you're adding and identify environmentally sensitive areas.
Additionally, identify additional environmentally sensitive areas, and to Amy's point, you know, consider protection for habitat protected areas if that's the same strategy or not.
So you're identifying additional environmentally sensitive areas. And habitat.
Additional protection.
Say including habitat.
Including. Okay, Patrick, including.
Habitat.
Okay, policy's done, strategies. We added one. Any other changes?
I just have an observation. Most of the strategies are explicit. Evaluate, minimize, do, I mean, they're requirements. Until you get to 3, which is consider requirement of a 25-foot depth. Either it's a requirement or it isn't a requirement. And it should state so positively, it seems to me. And the same is true for redefine the county's open space zoning. It's not a, we're gonna do, or maybe. So those two seem to just be out of sync with the rest of the wording of the rest of the strategy.
Just to Ellen's first point, maybe what happens is 2 and 3 get combined, so it's evaluate current stream buffer requirements for need of further expansion, comma, including a potential requirement for a 25-foot buffer on all streams. I was basically blending 2 and 3, so that say evaluate current stream buffer requirements for need of further expansion, including a potential requirement of a 25-foot buffer on ephemeral streams.
That would be voted on by the council.
Yes.
That is a consideration, because when you say consider and potential, can we drop potential and require,
It's up to you all,
right? Our environmental people, speak up.
Yeah, it is a requirement, is it not?
No, apparently not.
Consider
At the
requirement
moment.
of a 25-foot.
It's consider.
Right.
Do we want to
Okay,
require
so
it
no,
to
I'm not
be?
using the word requirement. So to me, it says there is a requirement, and what you're asking for is to read it to consider whether that should be the case. So if I'm wrong about that, if it is in the policies now, or the strategies now, or the law now. then
Not in the
it ought to be
law now.
considered.
there is no protection for
Okay.
25-foot.
I suggest we say require, not require.
So the way it was going to read, evaluate, as revised, evaluate current stream buffer requirements for need of further expansion, including a requirement of a 25-foot buffer on federal streets.
But once, twice sold.
That's a,
Back up to the,
because it's something here, has to go through. Yeah, so.
Yes,
yes,
right.
this is the plan. The first one, I can accept that, the rewrite.
Okay, next page.
So, yeah, accepted the new language? Can we go to
This is
4?
what you want, during the development application process, require a natural resources inventory plan that verifies a site's existing environmental condition and delineates the development and of the project. That's what we want.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a tightening. I have a question on 4.
Sorry, that's where we need to be. Sorry.
Which is minimize tidal wetlands. It's now 3 on there. And the issue of protecting living shorelines. If we are talking about living shorelines that exist, it seems that, well, I guess it's now 4, incentivize installation of living shorelines for shoreline stabilization. I'm not sure what you're looking at here under protecting living shorelines. Because living shorelines don't exist, they get created. So can somebody tell me what the intention was of that edit?
I suspect what it's intended to mean is that minimize tidal wetland loss by protecting essentially unarmored shorelines, so shorelines that exist that haven't been
Natural shorelines.
natural shorelines, if you want to say that, that would be fine.
Well, I think it would be better than living shorelines, which have a specific
Sure.
meaning,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Would you want to include creating living shoreline?
Well, that's
That's
the
the
next,
next
that's
below.
the next
Oh,
bullet.
it's below, okay. Alright.
So minimize tidal wetland loss
By protecting
By-
natural shoreline.
Natural.
by protecting natural shorelines. Okay? Then incentivize installation of living shorelines. We're keeping. Then we're measure and report cumulative wetland loss over time. That was from last week. Next page. Optimize critical area buffer function to management and expansion where appropriate, how and where and when is where appropriate. Good point. So,
The intent there is where we can, so like along a greenway, areas where there are natural areas and through the development process or other processes, we can add to that buffer to protective measures. Sometimes it's through easements, sometimes it's through, purchases, county purchases.
Maybe feasible,
Yeah, feasible might be a
technically
word.
feasible. But to eliminate where appropriate.
Right.
optimize critical area buffer function through management and expansion. Period. Going once, twice sold. Okay. Promote preservation of beach strand habitat. What is a beach strand habitat?
Go back up to the other one for Patrick.
Is this correct? Optimize critical area buffer function through management and expansion?
Yep, period.
Okay.
Are you expanding the critical area buffer? Is that what that's saying?
Optimize.
Optimize buffer function.
Critical area buffer. Yeah, I can just.
I mean, you can expand.
So, offer this time
The question is because NDE determines the critical area technically, we cannot expand it. We cannot expand the critical area buffer.
Do you have to,
We can manage it and enhance it.
or do you have to specify how you're gonna do it? Couldn't you say optimize critical area buffer function? It's gonna be different in different places, right?
It's not, in certain areas it is, in certain areas it's not, so. I mean, it's.
So do we take out expansion or take out function?
No, I mean,
Enhancement, then the better word than expansion. And given the broad fact that you have sea level rise, that in fact was changing critical areas now. And there needs to be, because you're gonna optimize and create more, if it is an expansion, well, would that be an enhancement when you lose something? I mean, you're not losing any.
well, let me get back to you on this.
Yeah.
We'll find out what the
Other
critical
folks, but
area.
you know, I know that in certain areas we can protect outside of the buffer. And that's what, to me, enhances that buffer area.
Right,
But it's,
the buffers are being reduced now. So I'm just saying, it's enhancement then, a more acceptable word, and
an optimum.
management and enhancement areas instead of expansion, that's controversial word.
Are we talking about enforcement of any of the critical area laws in order to protect the buffer? We're not using it to.
I don't see that as enforcement.
Well,
It's management.
management by what criteria?
You say it's like,
I would say
critical
possible.
area buffer,
Yep.
where possible.
Well, like I said, I wanna discuss this with other people, including, Kelly, who wanted the critical area program, just to kind of get some ideas.
We're gonna stay away from where possible, because remember, we need to have strategies that we can go back and implement. And have reports of what has happened.
Right. So we're eliminating where appropriate then too, right?
We're trying to
We want to.
have the how satisfied. Okay, what is the beach strand habitat?
So I think what I would do with this one is actually incorporate it into the one about natural shoreline, so minimize tidal, wetland, and beach strand habitat loss by protecting natural shorelines. So beach strand is essentially the sandy interface between tidewater and the upland area. That's key habitat for things like terrapins or horseshoe crabs or other
Okay,
critters.
so-
just incorporate it into that level.
Combined?
So it's the one above, minimize tidal,
Yeah.
tidal, wetland loss,
Tidal,
and
wetland,
beach strand
and
habitat.
tidal, wetland, and beach strand habitat loss by.
Thank you. Okay, next one, pretty self-explanatory. I'm going by the numbers, card numbers, so that's number 9, any comments? Number 10,
And dovetails with what we do for any request on habitat protected areas.
okay,
Oh, yeah, great.
So
so we can incorporate
that could be.
current 9 with the new it's a new one, it's very,
Identify other environmentally sensitive
Yeah.
areas, that one?
Yes.
yes.
You could just add that as the second sentence, maybe.
So
So,
the current 8 with the new 9. Sorry, the current 9, no, the current 10 with the new 9.
So 10 becomes the new 9.
10 is incorporated with the new 9.
identify other environmentally sensitive areas, and then also survey shoreline and identify sources of land erosion, develop a proactive program, all of that is one.
No,
No,
Okay,
Not surveys, survey stays where it was.
surveys is still 9, start the survey.
Surveys actually, that moves up to 6.
Okay, don't worry about the numbers, just let's follow what it currently is on the paper. It's currently 9, it stays as is. Currently 10 gets moved in to
protect fishery habitat gets moved into,
your last one,
okay,
identify other sensitive areas, including habitat protected areas,
okay.
and it gets into that,
Wordsmith that.
okay? And they'll make it pretty. And then redefine open space stays. The last one, which is currently 11. Okay?
and then you still have one more.
Down the bottom.
Well, that's, so have I done this correctly? So the new, identify other environmentally sensitive areas, including habitat protected areas, and consider additional protections. Protect fishery habitat by initiating a cooperative effort with the Department of Natural Resources to establish fisheries habitat protection zones. All that is one.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's one
And it
more.
goes on to open space, which is below that.
Open space is the one below. Redefine the county's open space zone.
Okay.
Separate limited area.
And then determine, is that the?
There's one further down.
One further down.
Oh.
I sort of think that determine actually is prompted, or is preempted by what we've just put there. That the overlay zones could be a piece of those protections.
So we've already covered that?
Yeah, I think so.
So, we covered it because we said environmentally sensitive areas.
Okay, so we don't need this then.
Right.
Okay, good, because the letter is
Okay, one down. How many more to go? B. Goal, policy,
Just out of question clarification, you got rid of redefine the county's open space totally?
no,
No.
we kept it.
It's just.
And they'll clean it up, they'll move it up, so don't worry, we kept it. Just so you
Redefine
know.
county's open space
Yeah.
zone.
It's 7.
That's still there.
Yeah.
They have,
Just curious, just getting.
okay, B, goal. Policy, F. Strategy. Track and measure progress. Thank you, yes. We need to enforce this. Okay? Then we go down and define priority forest retention areas in Article 715. We got that. We're eliminating development modification process for clearing priority forest retention areas. Okay, next page.
So all of those are accepted.
Forest management program, establish a forest management program to maintain viability, and the question is, don't we already have this? Hold on, yes.
I think it's just I think there's sometimes, yeah. I mean, I don't think, you're not committed to going to be able to
Wait, Patrick, we're not, we're only.
Okay, the question is on the page at bottom 2, number 7. We have revised, and somebody suggested eliminate, however, be realistic, we can't eliminate it all. So, we're suggesting to keep revised.
we actually can. So Steve Ziegler mentioned, you can't eliminate. You can post it. I thought it,
Why can't you?
I
the goal
think
was
you can
to,
reduce it significantly, but there are gonna be times when you probably are gonna need to clear a little bit of priority retention area.
I guess it was the term modification that I was trying to,
Well, we're
You're right, though.
significantly going to try and change the modification process.
okay,
But that doesn't mean eliminate.
okay.
Just for priority goals?
How about revised development modification process to limit clearing
Yes.
and priority?
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, say it again, Cindy, loudly, please.
Revise the development modification process to limit clearing priority forest retention. Clearing
In, yes,
In.
in.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you.
What exactly does that mean to revise the development process? I mean, is that something that's?
Revise the modification, development modification process.
Okay.
That would be a good.
So it may make it stricter in terms of the conditions under which a modification can be granted, but explicitly lay out the few cases where it's allowed.
That's what I'm just questioning is how are we, what's gonna be the specifics to making it stricter? Is that something?
But this
or that's
is
not
plan
something?
language, that's worked
Okay.
out in the
Code.
regulatory
Okay.
scheme later and goes through council and public hearing.
Yeah, we would be here for months.
Okay,
Well, I have a question, why is it limited to, priority forests?
Cause that's a very defined term in the Forest Conservation Act.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it apply to anything where you have forests and big enough, why wouldn't it?
Well, it's week 5 for me. You don't need a modification for everything. You do need a modification if you're clearing what are defined as priority forest retention. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, we don't have a study.
Yeah.
Our development.
You know, I'm not sure what it's, I'm gonna have a picture of some properties that are cleared. I'm not sure, if the priority forest areas, and I still wouldn't wanna give carte blanche, to have somebody override what a requirement is. And that's what the modifications is allowing a, you know, arbitrary, exemption.
I would agree, but I think we're going to significantly try and change how modifications are done in the county.
But that would be a
And
good
that's the
thing.
goal.
But I'm just wondering whether we need to limit this particular, sentence, to only priority forest areas.
I think it makes sense to limit it because of how the term is defined and used in the county regulations.
I would agree, because then anybody can make up whatever that definition is, right? It makes it a lot more loose, whereas you're stating to a defined term for what that is. You can, if you want to stretch that defined term, I guess you could, that's where you do that, but.
Do you have a question, Ellen?
Well, you know, if I can go back to the old meeting that we, no net loss of forest. This particular phrase, and law says you're not, that it's not consistent with looking at no net loss. Nowhere in this section does it talk about if there is elimination of trees and forest replacement. Is that somewhere else? For instance, if you can require replacement of big tree by one tree or big tree by 3 trees, etc., you can require replacement of trees where forest is, where trees are going to be eliminated. So there's nowhere under the tree section that requires replacement.
Well, we can add something about mitigation here.
So I don't want to muddy the waters, but I'm confused about terminology. When we get to the second policy area here, where we say develop, establish, and implement a forestry program, and how does that differ from a forest management program? Are they the same or are they different? And if they're different, how are they different? Because some of what Ellen's raising may fall in this next section.
I think they're intended to be the same thing, that's my sense, what you described. But to somebody's question, whoever says, do we not already have this? I don't think the county does have it.
Seems to me that the wording in the strategies, the wording is confusing in all the sections. They cross over each other and are inconsistent.
I believe it's one that we do, and I don't think the strategy may not have been.
Hold on, I have one.
Ellen, if you look down at the next group, what is I on the old version, the woodland conservation plan, for instance, could be a place where mitigation falls.
Where?
The second policy in this group, develop, establish, and implement forest reforestation program. Mitigation can go in there. Right, I think so. But I think part of the confusion is that we have similar things in different places. Well, then it needs to be reworked, yeah, that's this whole section.
Well, the policy G is establishing a new program within the county. Right now, we don't have a forestry program. We don't have somebody that oversees anything other than enforcement.
Okay.
So that would be setting a new program, whether it be a new section within an department or what.
So wouldn't then, if we were establishing this new forestry program, wouldn't a lot of the stuff that's in the prior strategy fall as part of that program? Invasive species, reforestation?
Not necessarily, because a lot of that in the one strategy, first policy about no net loss, there'll be crossover, but that's more code changes.
Okay.
Can I go back to, policy F, strategy 7, the eliminate, development modification process? What if we made this revised development modification process to limit clearing priority forest retention areas and improve mitigation requirements? And improve mitigation requirements. Because for instance, if you get a modification right now to clear a specimen tree, there is no mitigation requirement for that. So that is something that we could look at, and we actually are looking at it right now.
I'm not gonna say strength. Improve and strengthen are similar, but strength and strength says more as the intent.
I'm just having for some of these. Okay.
I'm okay with improve and strengthen, I mean,
I
think they're similar.
I see the word modification. And from my experience, modifications mean circumventing the code.
I know, but
that's
you
just
have to
not
look
true.
forward here. I know that there's a whole culture in the past, and I mean, I can tell you that we're looking at this differently now. And there was a policy that was put out by the county executive's office, I believe this summer, about environmental modifications. So we're already starting to change things, but a lot of the modification work does require some code change. Because
I mean,
there
I'm
are
fine
times-
with code change, and just because it's been done some way in the past, to me, this group needs to look forward, and if we need to change, add new employees, enforce things, or whatever, do it. I mean, we can't be limited by, oh, this historical thing that, you know, this group was to look how to do things better than they were done in the past.
Okay, I think we might be saying
That's
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing, yeah.
And,
That's what we're
you know,
attempting to do through these strategies.
you know, we've been burnt too many times with this modification stuff.
Okay, so revise, develop, modification.
I would say modification requirements, you should develop modification requirement process.
Well, and that's.
There is.
Well, no,
Well,
if there
currently
isn't,
they're
it's really
required to.
very blanket right now. It's like almost anything in Article 17 you can apply for a modification for.
There are no requirements on right now, you can just say, I need it.
But then I think you're gonna have to put that in, because if you're talking about modification requirements, it's not just for clearing priority forest retention. It
No,
would
I'm
be develop modification requirements.
I just think that the word, that saying that you're gonna develop modification process.
If we're
is
saying
too
revise,
restrictive.
we're saying revise.
It's too, you're limited.
Okay, what about,
Revise,
hang on,
develop
okay, what about
modification.
strengthen? Strengthen development modification process to limit clearing, priority forest retention areas and improve mitigation requirements.
I agree.
Strengthen development modification process to limit clearing priority forest retention areas and improve mitigation requirements.
I disagree with that.
Why?
Mitigation requirements. The code actually is not bad on modifications if anybody followed it. The problem is nobody follows it. Mitigation is something entirely different. I don't remember that much being, you know, I think of mitigation in the state and the highways. You have to mitigate the error that you corrected. So I think we're introducing something into this whole thing that doesn't need to be there.
I mean, when you have a modification, you have mitigation requirements typically associated. And forest as well.
No, actually, it shouldn't be.
Not the way it's
modification.
Well, and there are.
Perhaps sometimes.
There are modifications should be.
Okay. We need to fix this and move on. So, Christina suggested, when it's up
So
here.
right now, it says strengthen the development modification process to limit clearing in priority forest retention areas and improve mitigation requirements.
Do you want it to be 2, end it at retention period, and then secondly, improve all mitigation, all modification, or develop modification requirements?
That's okay. If you can refer to development, that's modification requirements, that's okay.
Develop modification requirements.
Are you taking out the
So choose,
specifying the priority forest connect words? Because I mean, now you're eliminating another tree coverage.
no, I'm saying revise development modification to limit process for clearing priority forest retention areas. period. Develop modification requirements.
Why do you
Which would
insist-
not be under this particular thing,
Why
but
do you
we're saying in
insist
general
on
we
keeping
need
the word priority forest, priority in there? Forest.
Because it's a defined term.
You can't just say,
It's in
Go
our
back
code.
and redefine the term.
what do you say? Take out priority, do it for all forests?
Yeah.
Devise development applications, other process for clearing, for what? Clearing forest retention areas?
Here's the thing though, you don't need a modification to clear certain types of forest. You need it to clear priority retention areas.
Which has a definition, specific code.
Yes.
That's why it's there.
And that's consistent with the State Forest Conservation Act, which does include a variance procedure. We don't call it a variance in Anne Arundel County because it's in Article 17. We call, the variance from Article 18 has its twin over in 17, it's called a modification.
So your concern is something that precludes limits the loss of other forests besides the protection?
Well, sure, but I mean, my concern is that, citizens of Anne Arundel County approve the code via their county council representative. And that gets voted, turned into code. Now, somebody else who's an administrator can come back and modify that. They're not elected official, they're an administrator. So they have the ability to modify the wishes of the citizens of Anne Arundel County. That's
Okay,
how
so
I read
hold that thought and let's add it to to one of these others, because it continues. Let's keep it as clearing priority forest retention areas, because that's a definition, and we'll flip to the next page and add it probably down here.
So are we keeping, what are we doing with mitigation requirements? Because the last I heard, we were creating a second.
Develop mitigation requirements for modification, is that in general, because that would.
That's in general, that's not here.
So, okay, so we would move that to the, when we do the land use and development goal policy strategy.
Right. We need to not forget it,
Well, to
we
the
don't
end of
have
that-
it, but not for this.
To the end of that is mitigation, whatever that last phrase was, can you add it can you add to enhance tree canopy? You know, one of the things that was consistent in what the residents said over and over again was maintenance of trees and protection of trees. This is a rather, doesn't necessarily stand out for that. The city of, just brag a little bit that the city of Annapolis has had a maintenance and tree canopy cover for 30 years. Had an urban forester for 35 years. And as a result, had the highest urban tree canopy in the state. So there are simple things that you can do that the Office of Planning and Zoning and others in working with developers can make happen. And one of the phrases that was left out is tree canopy cover. And replacing it. Rolling it into replacement.
Okay, so how are you proposing to change this element?
So just
added the phrase,
other areas and improve
well, it was that
mitigation.
Develop mitigation requirements to enhance tree canopy.
No, develop mitigation requirements is going to be separate, because that's in general. So for this, it would be ending with areas and improve mitigation requirement to increase tree canopy.
Whoa. I'm on 7. I just added that phrase in 7.
But that's that's not gonna be just for trees, that's gonna be in general. That's being taken out, that's gonna be in land use, it's not gonna be for trees.
Okay, so wherever, so you suggested what number?
Right above it, To improve the mitigation requirements to increase the tree canopy.
So the whole strategy now is strengthen the development modification process to limit clearing in priority forest retention areas and improve mitigation requirements to increase tree canopy.
Look on the screen. Can you see the screen?
I think that's good.
Can you see that, Alan? On the screen? Okay, we're getting a vote over here. Everybody, yes? Okay, thank you for adding that. Okay, establish.
So,
My question on this one is forest, is invasive species control the only strategy?
I think this goes maybe on the next policy, where this policy of the reinforcement program.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we're gonna move the current number 8 under policy G.
Where?
On the same page, the current number 8 under policy G.
Is it gonna be number 4?
Honey, Ellen, Kristen. I'm not worried about the numbers. It is the current number 8 under policy G.
We're in order. Who's up there?
I'm on.
and I would probably just say maintain.
Okay,
I know.
number 9, simple.
Wait, don't get that.
I'm better off not watching it when I don't watch it, when I watch it. I watch the.
So move, investigate the creation of new woodland preservation, all of that to the next policy as well.
I think so.
Yes.
And just revising 8 to say maintain, drop established forest management program, just say maintain liability of the county forest land.
I'm sorry, where are you?
If you move 8,
This one?
above it,
This?
Yeah, delete maintain a forest management program too.
Start with maintain.
Yeah. The other maintain, yeah. Second. Got it. There you go.
Okay.
and back up above is number 10, ensure that all departments such as health department, what is meant by this? Because I don't wanna single out,
Okay, I'll tell you where that came from.
is that what you were referring to yesterday?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanna, make sure that all of the, each
So
department is
I
aware.
don't wanna call out just health department.
Okay.
Well, and also, are they required to follow this, or are they just advised to?
They're encouraged to.
If it's
But some people don't even read.
code, it's followed, but if it's policies,
Right.
they don't necessarily know. We're doing a much better job internally of educating the GDP, here are the recommendations, and trying to make it, so that all the departments know, what strategies we have in place.
What you really need, Department of the Environment.
Okay, so let's keep going, guys. We're only on number 2 and it's almost 6:30. So you're gonna have a lot of homework unless we power through this. So, policy, G, we've added 2. You already got that. Strategy, first one done. Second one, develop and implement, done. Regional planning areas, obviously. Third, review existing stormwater standards for opportunities to require water quality to mitigate for forests and lands lost to development. Going once, twice.
I don't understand number 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Number 3, can you explain, Doctor?
Yeah.
Is that who's?
So what this essentially talks about is, I think the previous.
Listen, he's explaining number 3.
A little louder, please.
I think the previous strategy was to look at existing stormwater regulations to take the site back to good conditions. The existing stormwater regulations already do that. So this is to look at opportunities to specifically look for additional water quality for loss of forest.
So we're reviewing the existing stormwater standards for opportunities to require water quality to mitigate back for forested land that is lost to the development or development in general.
Development of forested lands. I think, just correct me if I'm wrong, but the existing stormwater standards are basically to meet a hydrologic match for the woods in good condition. What he's saying here is to say, don't just match the hydrology, but match the water quality pollution treatment essentially of forest with stormwater management in addition to the hydrologic match. Right?
Okay.
Does that mean quality and quantity, basically?
In terms of the forest treatment, yes.
Right.
So it's to offset the forest loss?
Yes.
Can we say that?
So this is an acre to acre treatment. You lose 5 acres, look at the water quality, what the woods provide, and look for opportunities to what additional treatment can be provided for that forest loss.
Yeah, it says forest mitigate for forest lands lost to development.
My comment would be that people in this committee have a hard time understanding that.
Right, they'll have to.
Wordsmith a little
Right,
bit.
okay.
Is there a way to determine that?
Isn't that already being done?
Yes, so an acre, there are ways that state of Maryland provides information on how much would an acre generates in terms of nitrogen, phosphorus, water, which is quantity.
So could this be review existing stormwater standards for opportunities to maintain and improve water quality when mitigating for forested lands lost to development?
Let's skip past the review business. You've already reviewed it. You've got some answers for us. Let's put those actions in there instead of review and begin to commence to start kind of stuff.
So the reason I'm not saying that is that anytime we make changes to the stormwater regulations, we have to get considered state of Maryland.
But this is a plan, so where do we want to go? That's where we want to get to.
There are other opportunities that's not the only opportunity. There are other things that could be done. So plan, not trying to be really specific, laid out, but the strategies will, in terms of how do we make that happen in the coming year.
You've got a great handle on this. Where do you see us landing? What should we do? You've done the review. What should be in our plan to nail this down about the water quality?
So this would be essentially, how do we take this and apply to development projects? Next step.
So would this be site specific? In other words, you're looking at it, I think, as a concept, and he's saying that part of our strategy is when there is a loss of forest, on each site, you'd be looking at how you could, as a matter of policy, improve the water quality to offset the forest loss. Is that right?
I was just thinking in terms of if you've got a development that's coming in and you've got engineers that are looking at all of this, and what are they gonna use as their design manual standard? I mean, how is that gonna fall into what we're doing here?
So the state of Maryland has a design.
State of Maryland has a design manual,
County
so,
has a design manual.
so why can't we just say that we're gonna follow the state of Maryland?
None of them really speak to this. None of them do speak to this. This is above and beyond.
This is above it, yeah.
None of them speak
I
to
thought we had to follow state of Maryland.
It's
law.
above.
We do.
We have to minimum,
As a-
as a minimum, but we can do it as above, which is what this would be.
So just to clarify, I'm glad you brought that up. The previous standard was to go above, take a look at existing standards. This is how I rewrote it to make sense. this does not, if this needs to be more clear.
I mean, I think conceptually, what he's saying is that, and what Eric said is that, right now, our stormwater standards are about the trees and the hydrology, but there are a lot of other factors with development that impact water quality, they're not taken into account, so he's kind of coming from a different angle to help improve. So to me, if we said improve existing stormwater standards to maintain and improve, or to maintain and improve for mitigation of forested lands lost to development.
Okay.
Some words, something like that, but I get it.
They will make it pretty.
Make it pretty.
Make it pretty.
But I think this gentleman's point about saying it should be something that's an action as opposed to just think about it.
Right.
That's what the committee wants.
Well, the
Yeah.
action would be improve
Yes.
and then add it to the design standard.
Because then you can
We can,
judge it,
you
figure
can
it out.
also fault.
Figure it out. Now it's actually gonna go. Okay. Yeah,
This section,
yeah.
is this an appropriate place to put, forest banking or creating?
Yes,
forest bank?
it is. So we wanna add, create. What do we wanna add?
Yeah, I'd say create.
Create forest banks?
Yeah.
It's already in
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the, it's under
It's under three.
incentivize the creation of private relations.
Yeah. Three. Incentivize the creation. Okay, got it.
Just clarify what, when you say a forest bank, exactly what's the picture I should get out of that?
So somebody takes a piece of property, plants trees on it, 10 acres of trees, and then the developer is cutting down trees on another parcel, basically permanently preserves those trees in exchange for the right to remove the trees on the property.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, what good does a tree do?
It's already in the code, it's already part of the plan.
Well, I'm
Has
just
to
gonna
be-
say it anyway. What good does it do a tree that's 50 miles away for that piece of land and that stream and that community? Doesn't do a damn bit of good. I don't like it.
Okay, thank you. Number
So we
three,
don't- we're
goal.
not adding about, forest banks right now.
It's already.
It's already there, so we don't have to do it. Three, goal, policies, strategies. Number four, number four.
Now we go back to two. What is it meant by smaller tracts of forest?
Under 50 acres.
Okay, so why don't we include that in the first one, say include, tracts of forest under, you said under 50, is that what you meant?
50.
Under 50 adjacent trails, so just combine that with the first one.
Okay. 1 and 2 combined using smaller tracts as 50 acres or less.
Don't use the word as necessary.
Okay? Don't clean this up. We're gonna keep going. Number 4.
Could you make it say, provide a project line in the capital budget to acquire land for the specific purpose of land conservation?
Just drop the other thing, provide a project line in the capital budget for land acquisition for the purpose of land.
It still says that, it says pursue the acquisition of additional land for preservation.
I got that. What do you wanna change?
It says for this purpose of land acquisition, I'm just changing it to acquire land for the purpose of land conservation.
Land conservation, not just land acquisition.
To acquire land.
I think we're opening up a whole can of worms with that.
If you just purchasing land, you're purchasing land to conserve it, not to just purchase it.
To acquire land for the specific purpose of land conservation.
I know, but I thought you were ending it for capital budget for land acquisition, period.
No.
It's just duplicative, there's.
Okay, so take out the duplicate, but we want it. Okay. Number 7. We got that. We did the capital budget just there, that's why that's moved. Acquire and retain land for preservation to offset future land use and zoning intensification. Who wrote this and what do you mean? What? Yeah. Through existing or okay, so what do we mean by acquire and retain land for preservation to offset future land use and zoning intensification? That I don't understand. And who's acquiring? I don't know. Whose suggestions? Okay, huh?
I'm sorry, where are we?
You're on number 10 on page 4.
Sounds like the CE.
Acquire land, right, sounds like what we just did.
That's
So,
all.
okay,
Can I just bring up, I have a real problem with us just buying land.
that's what we
There
just
should
said.
be- I
It's
mean,
for
there should-
conservation, not
There
just to have
should be
land.
there should be some ecological or sensitive or some reason why we're gonna buy this piece of land. I think there should be some qualification about why we're purchasing land, other than just to say, we're gonna preserve this parcel here. There's gotta be some reason for it.
There is.
We're just gonna buy land?
No, it says, we just said this.
I know, for preservation, I see that. but
Provide a
what's that
project
reason?
line in the capital budget for
I mean,
for
there's gotta be some.
land, for the purpose of land conservation.
So there, for what criteria? Who's gonna?
Prevent it from being developed.
Are you listening to yourself? We're gonna buy land in the county just to keep it from being developed?
It could be.
The county's
It has
gonna-
happened.
The county's gonna own all this land?
That's what I just said, it has happened.
Why do we wanna encourage it to happen like that?
Because you turned it into a park, you turned it into, water access, you
Well,
turned it
that's
in.
what I'm saying, there should be some kind of criteria that what we're gonna do with this land.
Barbara, help me, don't we have criteria on when we purchase land?
We do through program open space.
You're saying you want the capital budget, so it's gonna be county money, it's not state money anymore. And if you use program open space, it's for a park, basically. So there's gotta be some criteria about why we're buying all this land.
The property limits the program open space or we're currently limited on what.
Oh, I understand that, that's not my issue. My issue is, you're saying we're just gonna go out and buy land to protect it. So what's the
So
criteria?
who's
of what
gonna
needs to be
determine that
protected?
criteria
That's
and
what I'm
enforce
saying.
it?
That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. Somebody, we need to be able to determine what we're doing here. I mean, I can just see the county just going out and arbitrarily buying land. It's been known to be done before.
Well, the next one says develop acquisition priorities consistent with land and forest conservation goals in the GDP. So there is some qualifier in the next one.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to
Maybe we could
figure out.
combine them.
That's what I'm just saying, is we need to have.
I think they're discrete tasks, even though they go hand in hand, I think it makes sense to have them separate.
Okay.
But, I don't know.
You can put the number 5, switch the order,
Sure, yes, that would make sense.
and then, say based on the, developed acquisition priorities, based on the priorities pursued.
Okay. We will work that in.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Policy 1.
Wait, I missed all that. What's number 10?
Number 10, we are combining with number 8, and we're adding something about criteria for land acquisition.
Because number 10 as it's written,
We're combining it.
I
8,
believe the concept there is in direct opposition to what the county citizens have said. I mean, this says I can come in and overdevelop an area, and to clear my conscience, I'll preserve some land, you know, somewhere else. That's just very greedy.
That won't eliminate the offsetting anyway.
I mean, the idea of density is an issue that's been raised all through the county. This says we can clear our
it's
conscience.
gonna change, so look for it to change, because we're gonna combine 8 and 9 and 10, rewrite it and add
Okay,
some
if
parameters
it
to
shows
it.
up the way that's written, I'm gonna go
Okay,
bonkers.
well, keep an eye on it for next week. Partner, because we have a meeting next Wednesday, don't forget. We're back to back this month.
I'm looking forward to it.
Number 11. Waiting for the trigger. Partner with local land trust, increase promotion and marketing and preservation, okay. Revised Article 17, subdivision development.
Hang on, we're not, we can't just read them.
Well, obviously we want to partner, because that's what we've done before with the Seven River Land Trust, the Chesapeake Bay Trust, and
So some of
everything
these,
else.
yes, you're right, so some of these were added, I was contacted by the CEC, and I mean, they sent me
A list.
a mega list of things that I have not fully incorporated yet, but these were from that, and you're right, this is a carryover from the last GDP, so I think the language should change to strengthen partnerships with local land trusts to increase, blah, 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 blah.
Do you have a suggestion how?
How are we gonna judge that, whether partnership has been strengthened or not?
And only because I feel like we do what we can. We've already been speaking, to, so.
Back and forth, sometimes
Yeah.
we buy land reservations and sometimes they don't qualify, so we go to land trusts and they have different criteria, so we reflect it.
I can go back to the CEC and see if they have any more detail about how. Okay.
We need an implementation checklist.
Okay.
Okay, revise Article 17 subdivision development code to eliminate, there's that bad word again, modification of forest conservation easements. Christina, number 12 says eliminate.
You have a forest conservation easement, when is it justified to?
Buy it out.
I don't know enough information to be able to answer that.
I'm not sure.
So if you were a regulated project and you created forest conservation easements 20 years ago, what this is saying is that once you create that easement, you should never be able to change it.
And isn't that state law?
No,
I mean,
no, it's
you
not.
could change it, it's not that easy to do.
You have to buy it out.
I mean, I'll take this one step further. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 20-year process. There have been subdivisions where a forest conservation easement has been put on property here before it's even developed, and then wanted to swap and say, you know what, redesign for maybe very good reasons, and now I want my forest conservation easement to go over here. That requires modification. Saving the same amount of trees, so they're not always a bad thing.
So I have a question. It's not just about modifying the location. It's modification with a capital M under Article 17. You need
Understood.
no, I'm asking you.
Yes.
You need a modification to change the easement. And this is saying eliminate that.
That's correct.
So let me ask
No matter
another
what
one.
it is.
So many years ago, planning and zoning would allow forest conservation easements on people's backyards, on their personal property. So are you saying that they would not be able to come in after the fact and say, I wanna be able to cut down the poison ivy in my backyard and all that underbrush, but I can't because there's a forest conservation easement on there. Shouldn't they be allowed to do that then?
Yeah, and you can do that. I have forest conservation and
But
I
they're
have
just-
mitigation, and I could sell my property but the development would have to pay all the back taxes.
I'm talking about somebody who's in
What-
R5 property and has a house, not like your property. But some-
Mitigation. It's just, you fill out a sheet and it's mitigation.
So
What is that
what they're
called?
saying is to get rid of this. You're saying we're gonna get rid of this, but what about those people that have a subdivision home where they have the forest conservation easement in their backyard and they can't cut grass back there?
That's not
So,
true.
well, but I'm just saying, from what my memory is from all those years ago, when this was
Forest
allowed by planning
vegetation
zoning.
management. Okay, so we need to get away with the eliminate. We need to do away with the eliminate.
Well, said limit.
Limit, minimize, come on, we're wordsmithing, let's go, okay, minimize. Minimize.
And I think you have to capitalize modification if we're talking about modification.
Yeah, I agree, because that was very hard to understand.
I mean, that's before another word, right?
It is.
It's a three-letter word.
Okay, policies,
Add one more about, add one about fees for those that. Break the law.
suggest it, and then we'll look at it.
Okay.
Policies, strategies, inventory unused county property, we've talked about that before, yes. Goal, strategies, best management practices.
Where are we?
Number 4, 10 of 7. We're under policy D, goal D, policy J, strategy 4. Using best management practices from developers to homeowners associations that considers funding sources and expertise for maintaining. We're talking about improving the process of stormwater management and the training of the responsibility. Okay, so keep going. Number 5. Yes.
At this point, what does it mean when it's considered funding sources?
Other funding sources for stormwater management. Is that where you're looking? It's just
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
What number?
It's not clear as to what that.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe it should say, consider costs associated with it, and expertise necessary for long-term needs. So, we'll talk about putting a cost schedule.
Yes, so we're currently working on a handout process, it's not there yet, but I'm not 100% sure what the funding sources is.
Okay. Road development services to consider.
To give them a clear sense of strategy.
So it should be considered cost. Okay, you're right, sorry. I thought it was to help.
Cost
So
associated
it's
with.
criteria, it's creating better criteria for Daniel.
Yes.
Cost associated with,
Get rid of in expertise.
Expertise.
cost associated with for long-term maintenance of BMPs.
No,
Because
you want associated cost and expertise, because these are new criteria that the homeowners associations have to have in order to manage these.
So, yeah, so it would be a cost schedule probably as well as the handbook for maintenance essentially.
but we're not done with that.
No, but I'm
Okay,
just saying what it.
so cost associated with and expertise necessary. Okay, everybody with me? Good, I'm glad. Page 5, strategies, 2. Okay, these are all from staff, but that's good. Okay, new policy M. You guys know more about all this. Okay, so this is from staff, so we're going to page 6 at the top. The goal is E.
There's a question, or think Brad's strong enough to adequately protect groundwater resources.
Under policies number 6. Everybody with me? Page 6, policy number 6. Right there?
Chris, I'm not sure what the question means. Is it protect them from quality issues or quantity issues? So like somebody withdrawing too much groundwater, or someone putting something, some sort of fluid.
Whose question?
It was mine, and it was about infiltration and pollution of groundwater.
So quality.
Quality.
Quality. Dewey, are there existing regs?
I don't know, so most of the aquifers that we pull water out for drinking water are confined aquifers that are relatively deep. The shallow aquifers near the top surface are for private wells. I don't know, I know that we had a previous one under, which probably should go here, which is policy K, strategy 6. It said, talk about encourage abandonment of shallow wells. That would be a way that we could protect the groundwater from pollutants coming in. So you might want to move that one down to this section. I don't know, we also have recharge areas up in the northwest portion of the county where the aquifers actually, they slope from sort of the northwest part of the county towards the southeast. So the recharge areas that are up in the northwest, which is sort of along the, call it like the Howard County line up there, that's kind of the area where, it's the recharge area where the groundwater actually, infiltration area where the groundwater actually gets into the aquifers that we actually eventually pull out for public drinking water.
Okay, so how are we gonna change this?
So-
Do
so
we
my-
have these or do we need these?
So my question is primarily focused on drinking water, but it really addresses the whole goal about water quality and wastewater.
Yeah.
So the overarching issue for me is, are the regulations that are in place sufficient to protect us on all those issues under this goal? And if not, how do we need stronger enforcement capacity?
I don't know, I'm just gonna put that out, maybe you can help me out with this.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about on-site septic systems, that's what you're referring to, I mean, there's many a septic system that's old and outdated that fails, or we're out there checking it out, and that may be penetrating groundwater, so anything we do is gonna be up to current code, even if we can't meet current code, and it's repair, and it doesn't meet systems or not conventional, we're still making some sort of improvement. We're not gonna look at it and say, fine, dump your wastewater right into the groundwater. If the only thing we can do is add pre-treatment to the PAT tanks, at least we can do that. So there's strict laws and more regulations, state regulations in our county code about how we can design septic systems and separation from groundwater. But even if we can't meet those for repairs, we are looking to make improvements.
So you don't see a need for additional?
I don't see a need for it. I mean, in reality, there are things we could have done 10 or 15 years ago. And some sort of variant we got from the state, they no longer allow us to do.
So if we're looking 20 years out, is what we have in place sufficient to achieve the quality of water that we think we need in the county?
Working towards the goals there, that things like improve the whole idea with the reducing tanks is to reduce nitrogen that's going into the groundwater, which is not something that normally is treated for a conventional septic system. So these things are being put in place to do a better job in treatment on one side. So I think we're there making goals, in place as it is. That is these stress points already with
Let's
administration.
add one to cover ourselves. So would you make a suggestion and write it to the staff, please?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how we'll read, but I'll come up
That's
with
fine.
something.
If you can work on that, because then we'll be covered one way or the other. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I heard the
Thank
gentleman
you.
talk about septic issues, septics, but what about all the heavy industrial uses
We're talking about groundwater resources, which is everything, and that's what she's saying, so if we put that in there, it'll cover not only.
It's broader.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
up here we've got, 30,000.
Exactly, so
cars
we
and,
need to make that.
you want
that-
to know? Yeah.
Okay, policy P, strategy I, develop infrastructure replacement and upgrade capital improvement program projects to meet life cycle needs. This is blue from staff probably, evaluate and address the impacts of sea level rise, we talked about that, we're definitely interested in adding that one. Meet and exceed the enhanced nutrient removal permit, that we obviously need to do. We need to improve communications with our county residents. That was a goal from last week. And we need to make sure that we institutionalize climate change resiliency planning and implementation across all county agencies. Any additional comments?
I have one. It looks like you jumped over page 5 rather quickly, or I was dozing off, but, it says improved communication between engineers, contractors.
What number are you on?
I'm looking at, the bottom of page on last, one, I guess it is.
Okay, policy M, strategy 1.
Yeah, so, it says engineers, contractors, inspectors. What about local experts in that particular area? I mean, we just went through this experience where those people, or those.
Who would you categorize as the local expert? These are all certified with degrees
And
and
it doesn't
are
be damn
accountable.
good.
I'm
So
sorry?
I'm talking about people that know the ground, walk the ground, know what's there. And we just showed where that wasn't being addressed by the process. And it was a major deal.
No, I disagree, because this is
I-
PMT, design and maintenance, and you are talking about engineers who are liable, sign off on things, and
It
what they
doesn't
know,
mean,
if they
no,
want to consult
you
you.
do not understand what that means. They will not, when it goes down to that level, must have been a mistake. So we had a person that had experience, knew the property, walked the property, and had to correct the engineers, contractors, and inspectors. So there's more to it than people that know the land. That might be adjacent property owners, it might be people in the communities, associations, or HOA. They're the ones that know that land.
Do you have a suggestion to add to that? I mean,
You can't say local
say
expert.
Local expert. I mean, we
If
don't have-
I can say local expert, because that's what
It's
you're really.
not implementable. Who are you gonna say, local expert?
Let me think about it. I'll talk to the gentleman that saved the day
Okay.
when this problem came up. It's a serious problem that the drawings that the county has are not necessarily up to date. There's
Well, let us
multiple
know
drawings.
what you suggest for that line.
Seriously consider opinions offered by local people with local expertise.
I think that needs more of word.
This whole idea.
You all have a lot of homework, I just want you to know that. Does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Any comments on the minutes?
Call the question.
No? Any abstentions? No?
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Vote to adjourn, hold on, wait a second, you have homework. This has to be done
We already adjourned.
between now and next week. We're moving on. This will be sent before Friday.
It'll be on
Live
that
on
shared
Google?
drive.
Google Drive, your shared drive,
But
if you need help,
Any of your comments need to be done by,
Monday.
Monday at the latest.
No, Friday, sorry, today's Wednesday. Comments by tomorrow.
And the idea is to add comments, yeah, again, a quick refresher, this icon up here is where comments go if you have a question or a comment about a policy, and then text changes within the text.
Don't follow me and screw it up.
Okay, because Friday we need to have time to review because our meeting is next Wednesday. So we cannot have comments coming in on Wednesday. Like Patrick had to run and distribute new ones to everybody. And you all didn't have a chance to read them. So they have have to come in ahead of time, so that you have a chance to do it by noon on Monday. Okay, vote to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned, thank you.